Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, Asking the Entrepreneur Who Owns One. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed about owning your own business, and this is a show to listen to. And today we have a very special guest. We're meeting with franchise expert and consultant Joel Libava, who is the president of Franchise Selection Specialist. And, Don, I think I'm up. Joel, you kind of hinted on some of them, but, has there been the most interesting thing that's happened to you since starting the company?
There's been so many just really cool things. I guess that the most interesting thing that is happening, and I say happening, is that I am meeting some amazing people because of the internet that I never would have met.
True.
I have the ability to write on some other blogs of other people. Sean Kelly has the Franchise Pick, and along with some other ones, there's Blue Mau Mau, which is really a kind of a franchisee blog.
Yeah,
but
I've seen that one, yeah.
I've met these guys, I met Jim Cohn out in New England. He has a blog.
Oh, yeah, we had Jim on the show, actually.
Did you?
He's a really great guy,
right,
yeah.
You did, yeah.
Good guy.
And I'm meeting all these people that I really don't feel I would ever meet. If you go to an IFA convention, there's thousands of people. What are the chances, But,
exactly.
But this is just because we're all kind of doing the same thing,
right?
In little different ways. It's just neat how it's all evolving. I guess that I can tell you the coolest thing that is about to happen. I can't mention the name of the franchise, but I was approached by a nonprofit here in Cleveland who wanted to find a way to get some more money in besides donations.
Right.
And their board, after 6 months, just agreed to purchase a retail franchise.
Wow.
And the employees are going to be some people that have some disabilities.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to employ them and get them back into the workforce that way.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And all the revenue is going to go back into the nonprofit.
Oh, that is great.
There'll be
what
a press
great
release
idea.
eventually.
Yeah, I think I read about that. I forget the franchise.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that are doing it, like Ben and Jerry's and stuff. But this is even more unique because it's a retail. It's people that can stock shelves.
Right.
Simple tasks. So when it happens, I'll make sure I talk to you guys about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on the show for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even plan anything like that.
Exactly.
Right. So it's kind
fantastic.
of. I don't know if you guys think about this, but. I have in my office, I have a framed picture of a lighthouse, and it's you can plug it in and the lighthouse will blink. It's not tacky.
Right.
It's actually pretty nice.
Right.
But it's this if you put stuff out there, people are going to be coming back to you and they're attracted to you.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how my philosophy is. I don't push. I don't sell. You know what? I put myself out there, and if I do the right thing on a daily basis, people come to me. And I'm sure you guys are finding that out, too.
We are, yeah. We're having that happen to us, especially over the last 6 months, Joel. People are coming to us now, where in the beginning it was a little tough, educating people about the show. But, yeah, and it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, Don and I always say, we'd probably do the show for free,
Right.
Wow.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, we like just the feeling that we're helping people. Me being in the financing business, I talk to a lot of people who are frustrated about not getting enough information about financing or speaking to franchisees, and
it's confusing.
We're bringing something to the table, and having someone like a real franchise pro like yourself on, it's only going to help people who are listening. The more information, the better.
Boy, that's true.
Let me ask you this, Joel. This question we like to ask our guests on the show. What types of characteristics do you think make a successful franchisee?
Well, the obvious one is, and that's why I don't meet everybody that is referred to me or that finds me,
right.
Because I try to find out if they are maybe a little too entrepreneurial.
Right.
Purchase a franchise. For instance, I've had people that have owned previous businesses that have closed them or have sold them and then want to do something else, and they start looking at a franchise.
Right.
And I'm very cautious, and I tell them up front, you've been doing your own thing for 10 years here. Do you really want to work with a 300-page operations manual and sign a franchise agreement and do it their way after you've been doing it your way for so long? So one of the characteristics is someone that is willing to and has followed a system of some type.
Right.
That not someone who's always fought the system, who always has a different, better idea. That is not a good franchisee candidate.
Absolutely.
One does not have to be a robot, but one has to say, look, I have to put my ego aside. This is their idea. The cost of entry is the franchise fee up front, and the continuing cost is royalty income.
Right.
And you know what? And I'm pretty blunt when I do my seminars. Guess what, guys and gals? It wasn't your idea.
Right.
So you get to pay the folks that it's their idea, but maybe they can help you get where you want to go. So I look for people that get it and that I feel are going to follow a system.
That's interesting.
And I guess you can tell pretty quickly who has that right attitude and passion.
Within a couple minutes.
Right.
Just on the phone, I can tell.
Right.
So I'm careful who I meet with, because I don't want to meet with people just because they have a nice net worth, just because they say they want to get into business. I like to go deeper than that. I really want to unpeel that onion and let's find out if this is the right fit. Some folks will meet anyone. I'm not like that.
Right.
Especially since most of the folks I help are around here. I really have skin in the game. I'm very well known in the Cleveland area. I don't want to try to help people get into business that are going to set themselves up for failure.
Right.
Interesting.
It's wrong.
Right.
So I'd rather meet less people that really understand what they're getting into, rather than a volume of people that may get lucky and be successful. That's not how I do business.
That's interesting. I mean, the prospective entrepreneurs that you do meet with, Joel, do you find that they have like a preconceived notion as far as what type of franchise they want to go into? Like, do you get a lot of them, you said, okay, well, you know what, they're probably ideal for a franchise, and they come to you saying, well, I want to get into a food franchise.
Right. That's where they start almost all the time. Okay,
that's interesting. How do you handle it from there?
What I tell them is, you can go to any little, I'm not going to mention any names, but you can go to a submarine sandwich franchise, free seminar anywhere in this country, okay?
Right.
And they may tell you how wonderful things are.
Mm-hmm.
But be careful, because no matter what, I was in the restaurant business, so I know. The work is 7 days a week, 15 to 16 hours a day.
Absolutely.
And the question is, do you want to live the next part of your life like that?
Exactly.
If one has been in the restaurant business before, then they can be wildly successful in the restaurant franchise industry.
Right.
Because they know what they're getting into.
Right.
But if people look at a franchise and say, wow, this sub-franchise, they're always busy, there's cars everywhere and stuff, I want to get my sons and my daughters in this business, and I want to own 3 or 4 of them, I just like to caution them what they really are getting into. Not that it's bad.
Right.
But it's obviously the most visible form of franchising, so people start with food. But I take it to the next level, and I really get them thinking, 8 months from now, a year from now, what do you want your life to be like on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's a very big question, So if they came to you, Joe, and they said, well, I'm getting into this because I want to spend more time with my family, I mean, getting into a sub-franchise kind of defeats the whole...
It does. It certainly does. But it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with a sub-franchise.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you think there is, but and I have to be careful because I was in the food industry. I know what it takes, and it's a high failure rate, and the 400% figure of employee turnover is realistic. And
you don't want to sound too negative, but at the same time, people can be successful. So I know there's that fine line. You have to have people thinking long-term. Too many people don't do it. They think, hey, I'll open. Hey, I'll worry about the future later on.
And the money will just come in.
Sure.
Right.
If it was that easy, more people would be doing it.
Exactly.
Which kind of is a nice segue here, Joel, to the next question. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? I mean, you've talked about one here.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what do you want to do down the line a little bit? What else could you, mention for someone who's listening to the show, looking to buy a franchise, advice in general?
Advice in general is to make sure that they understand that this is a long-term investment.
Right.
And if they expect to make money the first year, they might be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And to have 6 to 12 months of living expenses stashed away, or a working spouse or significant other, that's the ideal scenario. But to be patient, that would be the biggest advice, is to make sure that they walk themselves through the short-term pain, which is making no money and working really hard, for the longer view, which is possibly building some equity a few years down the road. It's a really hard thing to do unless you actually are doing it. It's hard to understand.
In speaking to people, Joel, I really get to see what stress people go through in starting up a franchise. You have to find a location, and you have to get financing, which franchise to choose, when to pay franchise fees. There's a lot going on.
Right.
So you brought you just mentioned the part about spouse, and even getting the spouse to be on the same page with you moving forward, I feel is important. And
really important. Good point.
Yeah. And Marty and I have always talked about the UFOC, and it gives the potential owner so much information. Just speaking to franchisees, I think, is such a something you probably mention to your clients a lot.
Well, I do, and also, locally at least, I make sure that if they get far enough down the process, that they meet with an attorney very familiar with franchising. And there's a few of them that I use in Cleveland who I trust and who are there to protect my candidates. And we'll tell them, by the way, did you know on page 222 that they can build another franchise a half a mile away? Right. The candidate might say, well, I didn't see that. Thanks for telling me. So don't use Uncle Bob, the franchise. Don't use Uncle Bob, the family attorney.
Right.
Go to the right people. Go to a lender that knows about franchising. Go to a CPA that knows how to write a small business plan.
Right.
Do it right. Do it right.
Yeah.
And working with a local resource like me, I know the people to send them to. I match them based on their personality. Who are they going to get along with? Who are they going to, work with? Let's do this right.
We always endorse everything you're saying.
Yes,
use an attorney, an accountant. You use a franchise consultant, a specialist. This is a long-term decision. You got to make sure you're making the right decision. Do your due diligence.
That's right.
All of that.
And even, guys, and you know this, even if someone does everything they're supposed to while looking at a franchise and they invest in one, they could still fail.
Sure, absolutely.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, we had an expert on this show. It was about 3 weeks ago, Joel. It was he helped franchisees find locations. Because a lot of times, a prospective franchisee would come to someone like yourself and they say, you know what, I found a great location for a Subway. And it might be a terrible location.
Right.
They just don't know.
Or a lousy lease. Yeah.
Exactly. Lousy lease. So there's so many variables involved that people just don't.
They just don't think about. And if people go to my blog, which is thefranchiseking.com, there is a lot of information and a lot of past articles that I've written and I've links to that talk about every facet of that.
That's fantastic.
And that's going to help a lot of people.
What are your plans for the future, Joel? How far, how big would you like to grow franchise selection specialist?
Well, I definitely want to grow it. Right now, I am the business.
Right.
So I want to add not only strategic partners, which I'm in the process of doing, but I want to add some administrative help and maybe an employee or two.
Right.
Eventually. But I want to grow this into something that either I can pass along to my daughter or that I can sell and have equity in.
Absolutely.
But it's about strategic partnerships, whether it's with guys like you, who we can do some stuff together in the future, help each other out, or folks that do other blogs or marketing companies and PR companies. There's just a lot of really smart people out there, a lot smarter than me.
Well, you're on the right path, Joe. You're doing a lot of good things. Marty and I are very confident that things are going to go very well for you.
Absolutely.
Back at you. Thanks a lot. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, Joel. We're going to have you back. I hope you feel better. I really appreciate you coming on with the cold. I know it's not easy to do.
Well, I'm going to go have some chicken soup.
There you go. That'll work.
Easy. Yeah. And normally I'd say go Indians, but I'm a Yankee fan.
What fan?
Joe, what's the best way to get in touch with you for our listeners? I know you have all these blogs and any phone numbers or websites you should refer to.
I have an 800 number, which I sometimes memorize, 800-460-8299.
Okay.
If that doesn't work because my memory doesn't serve me, 216-831-2610.
Okay, great.
And, of course, thefranchiseking.com.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you again, Joel. You've been a fantastic guest, and I want to have you back in the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That was great, Joel. Thanks. Have a great day, Joel.
You too.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Great show, huh, Don?
Yeah.
Very, informative guy. The show went by so fast, though. It's felt like 2 minutes. So
as it always does. He gave some great advice.
He sure did, and I like this blogging that he's doing, especially for vets,
Right.
And, eventually, a lot of our military are going to come home, so, this might be a great option for them, this is franchising. I think, military would make fantastic franchisees. Not all of them, but many of them,
It's interesting how he got into the business. His father, but him being downsized himself, knowing, wanting to kind of control his own destiny, kind of like a franchisee himself in a certain way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you did a great job today, Don. And again, go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to easysba.com, franchiseloans.com, and did I miss anything, Don?
I wasn't listening. If people want to get pre-qualified for financing, you go to franchisefunding.net.
There you go.
We've been on this financing theme. You can go to easysba.com, EASYSBA.com for financing.
Right. Or you can even call us. Yeah, you can call us at 888-722-2785. I got to get into the habit of giving the number as well. And thanks, Joe, being on the board today. You did a great job, and I'll see you next week, Don.
Have a nice day, Marty. Take care.
Thanks, Don. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.